Hi, welcome to another episode of TFT Hyper Roll, where I show you some builds that I'm using in the hopes that it will help you in your ladder climb. In this crazy world of TFT Hyper Roll, where the rules aren't exactly the same as regular ranked, making for some special situations. This game started off, as most games, a little unusual. It gave me a couple of Hellions, a Dawnbringer, a Sentinel Assassin, and items that just didn't tell me anything. I picked up the sparring glove as the best possible thing and then saw, hey look, it's giving me a bunch of Forgottens, so I'm going to go ahead with that. I put Poppy out just to create the night buff and decided I'm committing into Forgotten. At least unless something better comes along. And while we're watching these early fights, let me take a moment to tell you what this channel is all about. It's called Mission4Tution because we are trying to raise money for our son's middle and high school tuition, as he has to go to a special school. This school costs a ton, but we are not asking for donations, just the views. We make money from the ad revenue. And if you could put a like on this video, it will help it go out to more people, which will get more views, make more ad revenue, and help with tuition. I put a Morellonomicon onto Hecarim because I wanted to create a burn on anything he gets near. And that actually worked and probably would have won this fight if Ashe hadn't shot her arrow exactly when it did. But my desire to stick with Forgotten was rewarded as I get the 2-star Hecarim and a 2-star Thresh. Unfortunately, it's not really giving me a 4th character that I can put out at this time. But since Irelia is generally OP, I just grab her to just fill space at this time. Unfortunately, I meet someone who has a 2-star Irelia and is sporting the Sentinel buff, which is infinitely stronger than the Forgotten buff, at least early on in a match, so I am going to get chopped to pieces right here. I decide to swap out Irelia for Rakan simply because Rakan can help heal, and my goal is to keep Hecarim up as long as possible. With that Morellonomicon, he is providing the burn that I'm hoping is going to take people down. We can see the impact of it right here, as Hecarim is able to burn a few characters, and Rakan is able to cast his ult, giving him back a little more health, keeping him up longer, allowing me to finally win a match. We pick up Varus to trigger the Ranger buff as just something we can do for right now as we look for a Draven. A lucky pull on a Draven, and we can put him in after this NPC round and get started because that will give us 4 Forgotten. Our Radiant items are 3 really good choices. There's the Zenith Edge, which would give Draven a lot of crit, but we don't need that since we already have a Sparring Glove. The Luminous Deathblade would just get his attack stronger and stronger throughout the match, but the best choice is probably the Fist of Fairness, as that gives him both lifesteal and increased ability power. So Varus takes a backseat for the moment as we're able to go to the 4 Forgotten and get Draven in the match. Unfortunately, we run smack dab into a team that has already been able to get a 3-star gold character. Another lucky arrow from Ashe just stuns everyone at the wrong time, and even though Draven is able to hit hard, it's not enough to overcome that stun and take us out. Our Globe of Happiness actually gives us some good items, because I'm now able to make a Sunfire Cape on Hecarim, which will allow him to be burning in 2 different ways. He will randomly be burning characters near him every 2.5 seconds, and additionally, every time he ults, he'll apply burns to people. We pick up the Recursive Bow so that we can create the last Whisperer on Draven. The last thing we're looking for is going to be a BF sword. We get a second 2-star Hecarim, hoping to maybe get 2 gold, and we pick up a 2-star Rakan so that Hecarim can stay up longer. I have a Misfortune on the bench, but there's no need to put her in yet because that will not take me to 6 Forgotten, so it won't increase the buff, and the additional Ranger buff, as you will see, is allowing Vayne and Varus to shoot more often, Varus to ult more often, and finally to win another match. None of these items are really what I'm looking for, but I pick up a Negatron Cloak for now because it can help me down the line. I grab the Misfortune and replace the Varus with her because even though it's not taking me to the next level, a 2-star Misfortune is going to be better than a 1-star Varus. Since the entire purpose for Hecarim in this round is keeping characters away from Draven, I put the Frozen Heart on him so that he can slow people's attack and be a little bit more tanky just to hold them back. Here we are again facing another group with an Ashe who's going to be able to stun people, but with Hecarim applying the burns and Thresh pulling off the absolutely perfect hook, we're able to get through this one with a victory. I pick up Galio and swap him out for Varus to create the night buff and make everyone a little bit tankier. This is going to be important because they need to hold people back. With the chance to pick up the BF sword, it is the no-brainer. It's the item I've been looking for to finish my Draven build. So quickly we are going to get that Infinity Edge on Draven. The Infinity Edge, the Last Whisper, and the Fist of Fairness is essentially creating exactly what you need. We throw the Ionic Spark onto Galio because he is going to be taunting people and bringing them in, and throw a Hand of Justice onto Miss Fortune just because she's going to be able to stand in the back and do a lot of damage. We lock for the Draven because in reality, he's going to need to be silver for him to have a real impact. Bronze Draven is nice, and he's still going to be doing damage, but once they get to him, he's going to go down quickly, and that Diana got into our backline and disrupted everything, making that an easy round for them to win, and us down towards the bottom. Now this is the reason I like Forgotten right now. I have found it infinitely easier than it ever was before to actually pick up 2-star and potentially 3-star Dravens. Everyone is so focused on Tristana rerolls that they ignore how strong Draven can be with the right items and the right positioning. For example, let's take a look. 1104 damage. And remember, with the Last Whisper, he's shredding armor each time he hits. 1311 damage, 1292. He's able to nearly one-shot people, 1239, Lulu's out, and the match is over. Do not take these, quote, forgotten heroes for granted. We grab Garen to replace the second Galio that we had put in. Pick up a Rel to maybe trigger Ironclad, but once we can get a second Galio to silver him up and a Viego that we can immediately put in to go to 6th Forgotten, that's the easy choice. We reforged a Hand of Justice because it's not doing much for us on Miss Fortune, and then go ahead and put the Dragon's Claw onto Galio just to make him tankier, and because it's really all we have left at that point. Again, you can see the absolute power of what Draven is doing as he is turning out damage, 1800 in that case, after he had shredded someone's armor. Having him in the right position with the right items just makes him unreasonably strong, as he does 1528 to a Garen, and even against this super tanky team, he's able to clean house and finish them off. Once you're in danger of death, it's always a good idea to use Teemos for money so you can roll and find things that you might need. In this case, I'm looking for something else to fill in, potentially a silver Viego if I can get it, and having that extra gold from Teemos gives me a shot. That's one of them. Now I'm just looking for one more. I can roll down again because I picked up an action worth 5 gold, and there it is. I now have the silver Viego. I put the Giant Slayer on him, which will work along with his Hex Tech to make him stronger. With 3 of us left, it's theoretically possible this could go another couple of rounds, so I lock for that Draven. There's another 1600 damage shot. You underestimate Draven at your own risk. And like I said, I know everyone has tossed him aside for the shiny champion of the week, but he still remains really strong and really viable. With 3 of us left, I decide to bring everything in just to try to protect Draven and keep him alive. I picked up an action and put him on the board to trigger the Ranger buff, and also because Action is a decent character, and while he doesn't completely fit into this build, he does trigger the Ranger buff and can do some damage from the outside. But this is the Draven show. It's all about what he can do, and you can see just how effective he is against, again, a very tanky team. And their action gets hooked and is brought in for Draven to ultimately put down. And luckily, my ghost character was fighting the other team and won, and with that, we go to the victory with the Forgotten Forgottens. Hope you enjoyed the video and have an absolutely awesome day.